probably has increased here, and indeed you can see upwards of 2,000 strikes of lightning over the last 15 minutes or so here, moving through the Bismarck area and points now off to the east. But again, our main concern is going to be these tornadoes further off, these tornado-warned storms further off to the east here between the Spiritwood and Tower City area. That's where the concern is for the potential of a tornado in progress near the Valley City area. So let's again go to the velocity product, the winds inside this storm, and you can see that, again, right near the intersection of State Highway 1 and I-94, that's where the rotation has intensified here over just the past couple of minutes. And keep in mind that the radar scans you're seeing here are delayed by a couple of minutes. It takes time for the radar sites to scan all the different levels of the atmosphere, to process that data, to then send that data off to us. So it takes a few minutes for this data to come in. So even though you're seeing that rotation as of just a minute ago off to the west side of that State Highway 1, it is now showing indications that it is off to the east of State Highway 1 here. Again, just off to the southwest of the Valley City area. Let's do a quick measurement here of how close this is to Valley City. You can see only 4 miles off to the southwest of Valley City, nearing the marsh area. That's the area of concern here. Let's see if I can get the road name for this road right here, and that is going to be 117th Avenue Southeast. So if you live along that road between Marsh and Valley City, there is certainly a concern for a tornado that is on the ground here, just about 2 miles south of I-94 near Highway 1, moving off to the east here. So let's put a storm track on this. This is the storm of greatest concern we have still across our viewing area. So we're not ignoring the other storms, and there might be some storms that you're seeing, especially across areas to the north of Fargo, where you're hearing some heavy rain, you're seeing some lightning, you're feeling perhaps a little unsettled. Those storms are sub-severe, aside from one severe thunderstorm warning near the Mayville area. So we're not ignoring you. We just are trying to deal with and prioritize the storms of greatest concern to life and property here, and that is this one that is going to be continuing off to the east here. So as we put a new storm track on this, as that rotation continues to tighten here, and we'll put that right to the area of greatest concern, Marsh, in the next few minutes here, so 9:54 p.m. or so, and then closer to the Oriska area by about 10:25 p.m., Tower City then by about 10:40 p.m., and then the potential for it to continue out towards the Hill community by about 10:45 p.m. this evening or so. Again, that is the storm of greatest concern that we are seeing, this most northern storm that is showing signs and reports that it is once again on the ground.
Thank you, Robert. So I wanted to show you a video we got just a little bit earlier near Spiritwood. So here's a look at the storm cloud there, and here was the look at the touchdown from that particular cell. But again, at this moment in time, just south of the Valley City area, about 1 mile south of 94, just crossed over Highway 1 there. That is where the latest report of the tornado on the ground, it has been reported just in the last 2 minutes. So another report just south of 94, again, south of Valley City. This area right here is where the report of the tornado was. We have storm chaser Ryan Mock out there, who is out there chasing this particular cell in Valley City. Let's take a look at that live stream. He is out there, one of the storm chasers again. So you can see plenty of lightning. This is why it's very difficult to see the tornado, because we've of course lost the daylight now, and there's a lot of lightning, plenty of rain out there as well. So again, this is Ryan Mock, storm chaser out there. He is live streaming from near the Valley City area, right around I-94. Just 1 mile south of 94, crossing over Highway 1 is where that latest tornado touchdown was. So just south of Valley City, crossing over Highway 1. So that's a little closer north of Marsh. Should be approaching Highway or 117th Avenue Southwest relatively soon. And again, this is kind of where the hook of the shower and the storm is, this particular cell where the intensification of the winds have created a tornado on the ground there. But it's hard to see. You can see from Valley City, though, this is Ryan Mock, again, storm chaser, who is on this particular cell. A lot of lightning. You can see he's not in the heavy precipitation part of things right now. I think he's off the highway, actually. But you can tell there's a lot of lightning, and it's very hard to depict exactly where that tornado would be, because the lack of daylight anymore, and also because of the heavy rain that is wrapping around on the backside of this cell. So let's switch back over to radar if we can. I wanted to show again the particular area of concern just to the south of I-94, passed over Highway 100. That is where the tornado was reported by law enforcement there as well. That particular tornado warning does continue until 10 o'clock. Most likely it will be extended as we've been watching this little couplet right here. It just crossed over Highway 1. That's the one that has the tornado on the ground. That's why we're staying on air, because again, this has a potential to create plenty of damage within it. On the northern side, Valley City, intense rain, intense lightning, potential for some hail, especially on the northern side. But right here where this couplet is, Bobby, can you kind of zoom in on this one a little bit more? We can kind of show exactly a little bit closer to ground level where that couplet is, where the potential tornado, again, crossing over Highway 1 at the moment, just south of 113th Avenue as well. So again, that's going to continue to progress eastward. This is where that couplet or that rotation has really tightened up, and that's where the area of concern is for the moment. Here's a look. We'll put the lightning strikes back on. You can see there's this storm still maintaining its intensity as it slowly progresses to the east. This is why we're staying on. It's not a quick pump up and then drop down type of situation. It's going to be slowly moving along I-94 right now. It's going to be kind of wobbly on the northern side. Now we're starting to go back on the southern side of 94. Still have a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings just to the north and encompassing the Mayville area. Then down to the south, still looking at that one severe thunderstorm warning there. A few that are non-severe warned closer to Ada, Minnesota. We're going to continue to see that. Robert, what do you have?
Just want to briefly mention closer to the Linton area at the Endon station near the Linton area, we had some extremely powerful, the highest wind gusts we have seen so far. 96-mile-an-hour gust was reported at 3 meters, so closer to the surface, with a 101-mile-an-hour gust reported at 10 meters, so about 33 feet above the surface. So that is extremely powerful winds. That's the first 100-plus wind report we have seen. That's on this cluster of storms you see behind me out to the west. That has been the Boeing segment, with the straight line wind damage being the primary threat from this here as that continues towards the communities of Steele, Napoleon. Again, I would recommend taking and treating that severe thunderstorm warning like a tornado warning, given the continued reports we are seeing of extremely high wind reports, 80, 90, 100 plus possible with this line of storms as that continues to blaze off to the east at around 70 miles per hour here. Let's run an updated storm track on that portion of the storms here. Again, moving off to the east here at about 70 miles an hour. And we're going to go to the capture computer, please. We have a wall cloud being reported with the storms further off to the east. Again, that tornado warning near the Jamestown area, the Valley City area. And it looks like here, as we are taking a look.
Ryan just said, yep, it's touchdown, another tornado touchdown again. This is that Valley City storm right now. So he's got this pointed toward the wall cloud, and he just messaged me saying that, yes, a tornado just touched down. So that's what you're seeing right here. It's really hard to see it, but kind of on the side there, on the right-hand side of that video, as this is a live look from around the Valley City area. So Ryan Mock, again, Storm Chaser, is on this. This is just south of Valley City, just south of I-94. That lowered base, a lot of lightning. You can see a little bit of a darker area on the right side of your screen. I think he kind of turned off to the side there. So as we swing over.
And they are going to upgrade this tornado warning to the considerable tag. So this is going to be now another PDS tornado warning for the Valley City area. That update will be coming from the National Weather Service in Grand Forks in the coming minutes here. But you can see on the right side of the screen, on the vertical image, you're seeing that area where it's a little bit darker here, where you're seeing a little bit of what looks like dirt and dust being kicked up. That appears to be the tornado that still is in progress. Again, on the right side of the screen here, you don't necessarily need to see that condensation funnel, the visible tornado, all the way to the ground. Air by default is invisible by obviously here. So as you're taking a look here, you're seeing more so the debris getting picked up by the circulation, this rapid rotation, this vortex that is reaching down to the ground, and you're seeing that debris getting kicked up around the circulation here, and that's how we are able to see this tornado in progress. But again, a tornado warning continuing here for central Barnes County, including the communities of Valley City down to the south towards Marsh, and that is the area of greatest concern here. That's where the rotation is looking tightest, just near the Marsh area. If you are in Marsh, I would be taking shelter in the basement at this time. Do go to the basement at this time right now, because you are seeing that tornado in progress here. On this live feed from our friend storm chaser Ryan Mock here, who is live near the Valley City area with this tornado warned storm, with a confirmed tornado on the ground here, again, right near the community of Marsh. If you're in Valley City, I would just stay in your safe place to be safe here, but this is passing right now to the south of the Valley City area. About, let me just do a quick check here. We can keep the live stream going because that is much more enjoyable footage to watch, I'm sure, versus just some paint blobs on a map. But about 2 miles or so to the south of I-94, about 3 miles south of the city of Valley City, near the community of Marsh, that is the area of greatest concern as this storm continues off to the east on the slower side, approximately 20 miles per hour at last check here. Let me just double check that. Yeah, moving off to the east at 20 miles an hour. So let's get an updated storm track on this, and I'm just going to list off the communities here so that we can keep that storm feed going. So as the storm continues off to the east here at about 20 miles an hour over the next hour, this is going to be, again, knocking on the door of Marsh right now. Please be in your safe place. That's getting to the basement, the under the stairwell, in the bathroom hallway closet. If you do not have a basement, get to that ground floor, most central room, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This will be approaching the community of Cuba by about 10:14 p.m., Ariska then by about 10:30, Tower City by about 10:40 p.m., and then the community of Hill by about 10:47 p.m. This is fanning out a bit of a cone of uncertainty further off to the east here. So if you're hearing communities like Ariska, obviously that's north of I-94, but we just have that cone of uncertainty because we want to be cautious with the potential for tornadoes and the storms to be wiggling back and forth in terms of their direction. But currently this is moving off to the east here. Again, still at around 20 miles an hour. Community of Marsh, that is the area of gravest concern as we're continuing to look live at this feed from Ryan Mock. Obviously, as we continue to lose daylight here, we're not even in that post-sunset twilight anymore, and all you can see now is the lightning and just a little bit of the features of those clouds here as he's, again, near the Valley City area live on this storm. That's why it's extremely dangerous for chasers, much less the general public, to try to get a glimpse of these tornadoes, especially at night, because you have to wait for power flashes or lightning to illuminate the features of this storm. It could very well be obstructed by heavy rainfall, hail. This is just not a situation where you want to be trying to stand on the front porch trying to get a glimpse of this. Again, please head to your safe place at this time, especially in the community of Marsh. That's the gravest concern. Back to Jesse.
Okay, so thank you to Ryan Mock for sending those live streaming videos, and he's been updating it. Haven't had an update from him recently. I wanted to give a little zoom out here to show you the broader picture. Again, still nothing severe warned for the Fargo-Moorhead area. Nothing severe warned for Grand Forks either. We're staying on because, again, this particular storm cell that we've been monitoring, tornadic storm cell, right along I-90 continues to have what is called recycling. That's tornado will touch down and then it will go back up, and it has caused some damage to a garage around the Valley City area. Still getting reports. I'm sure we'll see more tomorrow, but wanted to give you an update and kind of show you the storm motion. These are basically just moving right along I-94. This particular cell around Litchfield, a tornado warned radar indicated for this one. That is expected to expire at 10:15 now, and just the National Weather Service has just updated and extended this tornado warning from the Valley City area to now include the Tower City area as well. So again, still maintaining that tornadic potential, does include now the Tower City area. And again, we've been monitoring this, so you folks in the Tower City area know what's up. Again, if you're just joining us or if you're waiting for programming to start, we're going to stay with this because, again, we have had reports of observed tornadoes on the ground with this particular cell along I-94 as it moves eastward, directly eastward. We're going to continue to keep with this as long as we still hear from storm chasers and the National Weather Service that there is an observed tornado on the ground with this particular cell. So again, just around the Marsh area, that is where we're seeing that tighter couplet starting to lose that intensity. So again, this is probably going through, it's kind of recycling again. So it's losing some of its intensity. It will most likely pick up again as the storm kind of recycles itself. A lot of energy here. All those white things you see, those are lightning strikes. Down on the southern cell here, just south of the Litchfield area. That's where we're also seeing a little bit of hail. But the good news is the hail cores on these particular cells are really weakening. So not seeing as large of hail as what we had earlier. Had some teacup size hail reported near Jamestown earlier. And now as they're getting closer to Tower City, we're really losing that large hail potential. Still the potential for a tornado to touch down within that particular cell. And that's not the only round. We're still watching this bigger line off to the west has already moved through east, and this entire line of storms will have a giant severe thunderstorm warning on it, mainly for wind, a lot of intense lightning as well as intense downpours with it. But again, for right now, the main concern along I-94 is going to be that particular storm that does have a tornado warning on it and observed tornado with it. Live look from Fargo, you can kind of see the outline of the cloud as we've got our tower camera pointed to the west. You can see all of that lightning showing up there. Again, nothing at the moment for the Fargo-Moorhead area, but we still do have that tornado watch continuing until 3 o'clock this morning. We're going to try to get into the news at 10 o'clock, but it's going to be a tough one because we're still monitoring that potential tornado on the ground near the Valley City area. Any updates, Robert?
So far here, the latest we have was that as of a couple minutes ago, a report of a tornado 2 miles west of Valley City. So even though Jesse was mentioning that the tornado-warned storm here near the Valley City area was again showing some signs of perhaps cycling, where the rotation, the couplet here, has weakened briefly, we are still getting reports that this could be still on the ground here. So let's go back to the velocity mode here. And as we take a look here, so again, that might just be a delayed report here because, again, it was right near the community of Marsh, where you could see as of just a few minutes ago, that's where that couplet was, right over the city of Marsh itself. But if there is any slightly good news is that as we take a look, excuse me, at the most recent scan here, that the rotation here is a little bit more broad. But again, we have seen time and time again that these storms have been cycling here.
You're watching WDAY Extra.
Been on the ground for several minutes, and then it ropes out, lifts back up to the into the clouds, and then we see the cycle start anew here. So if you're in the communities of Marsh, Cuba, over to Springvale, out towards Tower City, please do not let your guard down. Remain in your safe place. Now, if you are just joining us and you're wondering what you should be doing if you're under this tornado-warned storm, here are some tornado safety tips. If you are at your home and it's a site-built structure, i.e. not a mobile home, you're heading down to the basement or the lowest level of the home and the most interior room of that lowest level. Usually that's going to be a bathroom, a hallway, a closet. Regardless, you want to make sure you're avoiding exterior walls and those windows so that projectiles, debris from a potential tornado passing by does not reach you or harm you. If you're in a mobile home, you do have to get out. It doesn't matter if it's an EF0 or a more stronger tornado. No mobile home is safe from any kind of tornado, so you need to seek a more sturdy structure, a site-built building, a gas station, a restaurant, a neighbor's home who has a site-built house. Head to that safer location right now. If you're in an apartment building or an office building, you want to make sure that you are not in any of the upper levels. So if you have a second floor apartment, a third floor apartment, etc., you go down to the ground floor. If you have a basement in that apartment building, you head down to the basement. Otherwise, ground floor, most central rooms, similar to if you're at home, that's usually going to be perhaps a bathroom, a closet, a laundry room. Perhaps it's just the downstairs neighbor that you have below you. So that's where you want to make sure you are heading. You want to make sure you're having as many walls between you and the outside world as possible, so you have as much protection from any potential flying debris. So again, zooming back out here, we do have a new tornado warning further to the south. They have now just extended that one. Let's see here how late this one will be going here as I take a quick cue. This will now be going until 10:45 p.m. This is for portions here of Norman and Trail counties. Excuse me. That is the wrong warning. So as we look on the southern cell, this is going to be for portions here of Barnes and Ransom counties. That's correct. Until 10:45 p.m. this evening, this storm is continuing to have a radar indication of a tornado in progress. That would be closer to the Black Loam area, off to the north and northwest of that area. between Black Loam and Prairie. That's where we're seeing some broader rotation, but like I was mentioning earlier on, we are further away from the radar sites here, so we're looking further up into the atmosphere. We're struggling to get a good low-level scan in this area, so we're the National Weather Service erring on the side of caution given the environment that these storms are all in, the extremely potent environment for tornadoes to be ongoing. Let's put a quick storm track on this as the storm continues off to the east around 25 miles an hour here. And let me just confirm that motion by just running this. Okay, perfect. 25 miles an hour for that southern one. And you can see, again, moving off to the east here. At, again, 25 miles an hour, so let's put that storm track out. This will be heading towards the areas like Fort Ransom and then perhaps towards the Lisbon area, although if it stays due east, that might head a little bit north of the Lisbon area. But again, about Fort Ransom, about 10:26 p.m., closer to the Elliott area by about 10:45 p.m. Lisbon, if it does jaunt a little further to the south, that would be in your neck of the woods by about 11 p.m. And then Enderlin, a little after 11. That's the storm track of this as it continues off to the east at around 25 miles an hour over the next hour or so. Again, if you're driving in the Fort Ransom area, if you're driving along, forgive me, let me get the state highway number here. This is State Highway 32. You want to be sure that you are getting off the road, stopping at a gas station, a restaurant, a business that is open at this time of night here. I know it's a little difficult in rural parts of North Dakota after 10 p.m. here on a Friday night, but make sure that you're finding a site-built structure that you can seek shelter in, or if you are able to get home before those arrival times I was mentioning, and you are able to seek shelter at your home in a site-built structure there, that's what you want to be doing at this time here. Rapidly approaching State Highway 1, again, near the Black Loam area here, and we are continuing to keep an eye on this rotation, again, right between Prairie and Black Loam, where you see those reds and those greens close to each other. That's where we're seeing that spin in the atmosphere here, indicative of a potential tornado in progress. Let's switch back here to the northern of these two storms. This is the one that we have been more concerned with, and Jesse will take it from there.
So I wanted to give you a little zoomed out version because I'm seeing some good news here on the radar, because what was going on initially was we were seeing initially individual storms fire up, intensify. Now as we get later into the evening hours, we've switched into the 10 o'clock hour. This is turning almost more into a line structure, and that's going to eventually switch over the threat from a tornado threat over to a wind threat. We do still have, yes, a new issued tornado warning. Your phone may be going off in portions of Cass or Clay County, most likely in Fargo. Your phone is not going off, but if your phone is going off, that most likely means that your phone is connected to the wireless emergency alert system. So that will basically find, based on GPS, where your location is. If you're in that tornado warning, your phone will go off. So again, the tornado warning does include portions of Cass County, far western portions of Cass County, around the Tower City area. It also includes portions of Barnes County. Again, this is that same cell we've been tracking all the way since earlier this evening near the Jamestown area. And again, still indication of some radar indicated tornado on this. We did have a report of the tornado on the ground just southwest of the Valley City area, still maintaining some of that structure. A storm tracker on this one as it moves slowly along I-94 eastward right around 20 miles an hour, kind of on top of you folks in the Tower City area as far as the heavy rain. Springvale, though, closer to you folks in the next 10 minutes is where that rotation will most likely get closer to you. Again, this has been a tornado that has been touching up and down. You got something, Robert?
Storm chasers on the southern of those two cells, closer to the Fort Ransom area, that there might be a tornado in progress at the surface. Again, it's nighttime. We have lost the daylight. It's difficult to see these storms here, but we are seeing potential signs from storm chasers on that storm, on that southern of the two storms here, that a tornado might be in progress near the Fort Ransom area. Again, as we take a look at velocity real quick here on the southern storm, I know we were just talking about this, but we were seeing that rotation just off to the west of the Fort Ransom area intensify over the past couple of radar scans here. And again, we are seeing potential indications that a tornado might be in progress. So again, if you're in Fort Ransom, please do head to your safe place now. Again, the lowest level of your home, basement if you got one, otherwise go to the ground floor, most central room, and that's where you want to be heading at this time here, as again, a tornado warning continues. As I have circled the area of greatest concern just off to the northwest of the Black Loam area, continuing off to the east at around 25 miles an hour. So Fort Ransom, that would be towards you in about 20 minutes here towards the Lisbon airport by about 10:52. Island Park then, as we're taking you closer to the 11 p.m. hour here. But again, we are continuing to monitor these two storms here. Like Jesse was saying, though, eventually we are already seeing the signs of this starting to happen. These storms are going to gradually congeal together into a big line of storms instead of just these little dots of storms across the region. And when these storms are more individual cells, they are able to rotate more readily. And that's when the tornadic risk is higher here, as I'll just take off this cue here for the warning. But as we take off the lightning as well, because there's just so much of it, you can't really see the radar. Let's just take this over the last 3 hours here, a radar loop across the region. Notice how those storms initially started out much more discrete. They were just little individual cells here closer to the Jamestown area. Initially moving more northeasterly and now moving more due easterly here, and they are starting to congeal together. But it looks like we have a new tornado warning for portions of western Stutsman County. This is associated with that Boeing line of storms that is approaching from out west here. So let's get the latest information on this. So this is an observed tornado warning that continues for portions of Kidder and western Stutsman counties until 10:45 p.m. this evening. So this is an observed tornado. Looking for the latest from the National Weather Service here. They are seeing reports of a possible tornado south of the Tampa area, and they are also seeing that a vehicle might have been flipped on I-94. So again, please, it is not a good night to be traveling on I-94 between the Bismarck and Fargo area at this time here, as again, we have the potential for yet another tornado here between the Tampa and the Medina area right now. We'll take it back over to Jesse.
Yeah, so that particular cell here again just got issued. National Weather Service issuing the tornado warning until 10:45, and that does include western portions of Stutsman County. It does include Kidder County as well. Bobby Pointer just gave us a report from the Linton area on the south side of that particular storm. That one right around here, severe warning storm, a report of wind gusts topping 100 miles an hour. So certainly as this storm kind of bows out like this big, huge line of red you see, that is the intense downpours, that is the intense rain. On the back side of it, that's where we're having really strong wind gusts, and especially on the southern side of that storm near the Linton area, there was a report of 101 mile an hour wind gusts. And again, within this line, that is mostly going to be some intense wind ahead of it. We're also going to see a little bit of a downpour behind it, and then the wind gust is really going to become damaging on the back side of it. Within that, you can see a little bit of a curl hooked in there, and that is where that potential is along I-94 for that next potential tornado near Stutsman County as well. Take a look. Here's storm chaser Ryan Mock. He's out near the Tower City area. So again, switching back over, he's out there. We can see the heavy downpours moving through. He's in Tower City. This is his live stream. This is storm chaser again Ryan Mock out there, who is keeping an eye on these storms. He's been the one providing us some of the video and some of the storm reports that we've been checking in with him throughout the entire evening, and you can see a lot. Well, you can't see a lot because of the lack of daylight anymore, but there's intense lightning, there's intense downpours as well. So this is why, if you're hearing the thunder, if you're seeing the lightning flashes and you just don't feel comfortable, and if you're in around the Tower City area, especially south of Tower City, that is where you're going to want to be in your safe spot. So Fingal, you're not included in the tornado warning, but Springvale, I do expect that potential to be there for you. Again, hard to see this in that area because of the fact that it is dark and because of the fact that we have really intense rainfall going on with this entire cell that is moving south of along I-94. And again, if you're in the Fargo-Moorhead area, if your phone is going off, that is because portions of Cass County are included in the tornado warning at the moment. That is not including Fargo yet. If this cell continues to maintain its rotation, though, that is when we could be looking at that potential tornado warning issued for the metro of the FM area. But right now, again, as we switch over and look at our velocity, this is showing the wind within that south of 94. You can see that really tight couplet again strengthening up. These storms tend to kind of cycle and recycle themselves. And what happens when we start to see those couplets pretty close, where you're seeing that red next to the green, that is where you've got the rotation. So this is approaching Highway 32. If you're in the Springvale area, this rotation is heading your direction. Again, this one has a report of tornado that was on the ground a little earlier once it crossed over Highway 1 earlier and around the Marsh area, so it's maintaining some of its circulation. Again, storm chaser Ryan Mock out there on this particular cell as it moves to the east, but we are not out of the woods just yet. We do have kind of two lines that we're watching. This one still has, again, the potential for some tornadoes within the line of thunderstorms, but this one more impressive as far as the winds on the backside, and that is just starting to move into the WDAY area. Jamestown, you had hail earlier, you had intense wind gusts earlier. This is the next round heading in your direction, and again, within this line, there could be a rain-wrapped tornado. There could also be a brief little spin up within that entire line off to the west. So, Robert, you got anything else?
Nothing particularly, but we do have confirmation from the Storm Prediction Center that the tornadic risk in southeastern portions of North Dakota from this initial, the more eastern of these two areas of thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms, the tornadic risk is going to continue here over the next couple of hours as these powerful thunderstorms, these supercellular thunderstorms, continue to push off to the east here. So that's the two supercells that we are watching in portions of Barnes into far western Cass County, and the cell further to the south that is going to be moving into portions of Ransom County as well here. So the concern, the threat for the tornadoes among these storms will be continuing here over the next couple of hours. Let's just run here. Again, like Jesse was saying, if you're in Fargo, you're probably not getting that alert on your phone because largely those are GPS based. So since it's only including far western parts of Cass County, your phone should not be going off even in the Castleton area. But if you are hearing your phone going off, if you're hearing those tornado sirens going off, that's for far western portions of Cass County. Not an immediate threat for the city of Fargo, but if you're in the Fargo metro, do be on your guard here as we switch over to the velocity mode, showing that area of rotation that was near the Cuba area, just off to the southeast of Valley City. Between Valley City and the Fingal area, approaching State Highway 32 here, continuing off to the east at around 25 miles an hour. Again, we'll run this storm track here, and we'll get you a rough arrival time for when this could be approaching the Fargo metro here. That would be during the 12 o'clock hour, just after midnight here in West Fargo, about 11:45 in Mapleton, Castleton by about 11:30 here. So again, no immediate threat, no need to seek shelter in Castleton or the Fargo and Moorhead metro, but do be on your guard as, again, the environment off to the east here across the Red River Valley has not been quite tapped into yet by some of these storms, and so the threat for those tornadoes among these supercellular thunderstorms will continue as these storms continue off to the east here. Again, let's go to that southern storm here closer to Fort Ransom as well. Again, just for reference here, this tornado warning here continuing until 10:45 p.m., including portions of Barnes, but mainly Ransom counties, including the communities of Lisbon and the Tuller area. You can see that tornado warning further off to the west, closer to Black Loam, has just been allowed to expire here as well. So if you're in the Black Loam area off to the west of State Highway 1, your imminent threat from this particular supercell is over here, and you can come out of your safe place across areas, again, along and off to the west of State Highway 1. But again, keep in mind that we all will be dealing with this second line of powerful straight line winds further off to the west that'll be moving into the region here. But again, back to this southern cell here, this does also include the Lisbon area as this storm is moving off to the east at around 20 miles an hour. Again, we were seeing some indications from some storm spotters on that particular cell that there may have been a brief touchdown associated with that storm here, but we are not seeing really tight rotation. It's difficult, like I've been mentioning before, and I apologize if you've been watching us the past few hours. We sound like broken records, but people are coming and going to the broadcast here, so we do want to make sure that people are up to date with the latest information. But as I was mentioning before, with this rotation here, it's a little difficult to have a good idea of how broad or how tight the rotation is when you're further away from the radar site. These radar beams don't point down to the surface here, they point upwards because the weather usually happens above us, not at the surface here. But thanks to the radar beam pointed slightly up and the fact that we have the curvature of the Earth, the further away from these radar sites you get, the higher up into the thunderstorm you are looking. And unfortunately, from the radar site in Mayville, between Fargo and Grand Forks, you don't get a good low-level look at this thunderstorm here that's near the Fort Ransom area. So it's difficult to know for certain what's happening in the low levels of the atmosphere and what's happening at the surface in terms of the potential for a tornado in progress. course. But again, this storm does have that report earlier on of a brief spin up. So again, if you're in areas like Northland, Fort Ransom, you're not going to see this coming because it is dark. It is heavy rain ahead of this storm. But again, I would continue to seek shelter there. Again, we'll hand things back over to Jesse.
So we're going to take a little more broad look here because, again, what initiated as individual storm cells is turning more into a bit of a line or conglomeration of storms. Now, within this little line or conglomeration of storms as they approach portions of Cass County, Trail County, that's where we're going to eventually start to see that tornadic threat wane, but we're not out of the woods just yet. We're going to take you through some of these individual storms and individual storm warnings because there's a lot of little polygons on the map here. So this one in particular in yellow, that's a severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning around the Tower City area and just to the south around Lisbon. This pink one here, that is an observed tornado just to the west of the Jamestown area around Medina. That is where, again, potential within this line that is going to bring some intense wind gusts that's already occurring in the Tappan area. Medina, potential for some rotation within this intense line. So that's why there's a tornado warning for this particular cell in Kidder and Stutzman County around Medina, heading to the east. But again, that's the entire line. Off to the east around the Tower City area, we're now on this particular tornado warning. That one goes for another half hour or so. It does include, again, the Tower City area. Valley City, you are good now, at least with this particular one. We still have that big line off to the west for you to be concerned about later. But again, that will mainly be a wind threat. Right now, just south of Tower City, just to the north of the Fingal area, that's where there again is some pretty tight rotation just approaching Highway 32. So again, southwest of Springvale, that is going to continue to progress eastward, the potential for that tornado within that cell. Farther to the south, another tornado warning here that we're monitoring. That one goes until 10:45. That one approaching Fort Ransom at this moment. Doesn't have the signature hook, but again, still some broad rotation within that. There's a little couplet showing up right around Fort Ransom. So again, where you're seeing those reds and those greens and blues, that's indicative of some rotation within there. So there's the potential. This one again, radar indicated, similar story just to the south of the Tower City area. Up to the north, along the North Dakota-Minnesota border, we're closer to Shelley, Minnesota. Intense lightning as well as some heavy downpours. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. This one is mainly for some intense winds, 60-mile-an-hour winds, golf ball size hail with that possible. I think lower than that. Also close to the radar around Mayville, Hillsboro, seeing some intense downpours as well as lightning, but not severe warned at this time. But again, some good indication that this is transitioning a little bit more away from the tornado potential is that we're not just seeing those individual cells. These are kind of forming more of a conglomeration of thunderstorms, and that's just going to bring transition into more of a heavy rain event and transition eventually more into a wind event, especially that secondary line off to the west. Switching over to our hail mode, again, not too impressed with the amount of hail closer to the North Dakota Minnesota border. You can still see a little bit of hail closer to Tower City. This particular one just down to the south, north of the Lisbon area, Enderlin, that's where we're seeing a little bit of hail as well. But these hail signatures are not nearly as impressive as they were even just an hour ago. Wanted to show you a live look from Fargo-Moorhead from our tower camera. You can see in the distance some of the lightning from those intense storms riding along I-94 at the moment. So again, nothing at the moment for the Fargo-Moorhead area, but I do expect these thunderstorms to maintain some of their intensity, certainly maintaining their lightning and as well as the really intense downpours, and that will be hitting the Fargo-Moorhead area as well as we get closer to about 11 o'clock here. I think as again, this is a very slow moving, what's turning into a line of thunderstorms again as it moves to the east. So Bobby, would you zoom out real quick and kind of let's get the bigger picture again. Wanted to show that secondary line off to the west, just do a DMA reset on the whole entire radar so we can kind of show that secondary line. So here's the first line coming on through. The secondary line, this one is going to bring really intense winds. You can see there have been an extension of severe thunderstorm warnings. There have been reports of 100-mile-an-hour wind gusts on the backside of these storms around the Linton area. So that's why we're staying on air. There have been reports of damage across I-94, reports of a car flipped over, as well as reports to the damage to a garage along I-94 as well. So that's why we're staying on. I know the 10 o'clock news was normally on at this point in time, but for this point around here, as far as the weather's concerned, we're still going to maintain and still stick with these storms because they, again, have the potential of producing some intense and considerable damage, especially if this line of thunderstorms continues to make its way eastward with its intensity. We're talking anywhere from 70 to 90-mile-an-hour wind gusts on the backside of these thunderstorms. Any more reports coming in from the National Weather Service? Robert.
So we're seeing reports of some hail in the Lemoore County area near Marion here, and that was hail that is quite frankly the size of your hands here. So large hail, upwards of 2-3 inches early on. The initial storms that were firing off to the west towards the Jamestown area had reports of 2 to 3 inch size hail early on this evening. That's teacup size hail with that 3-inch hail. But as we take a look here at the hail mode across the region here, you're really not seeing terribly much hail with these storms that are in eastern parts of North Dakota, closing in on the Tower City area and then moving further off to the east into central portions of Cass County towards Castleton and then eventually the Fargo-Moorhead area. Fortunately, that is the one piece of good news we are seeing with these storms. You're really not seeing those pinks here. That's when we start to get concerned with that hail being a potential threat to property and, of course, to life once it gets larger here, upwards of 2 to 3 inches. But it's a different story further off to the west here, especially near the Progress area to the southwest of Baden. That's where you're seeing some large hail also ongoing. Again, off to the northwest of the Woodworth area on the northern edge here of the secondary line of storms. And when we switch over to the reflectivity mode here, the intensity of the rainfall, it looks like a mess because you're seeing a large area of intense rainfall. You're seeing prolific lightning on top of those damaging winds here. So I'll turn off a few of these items here, and you can see that we also do have a tornado warning here. I'll just quickly cue this. We do have a tornado warning till 10:30 for the next few minutes for portions of Sheridan County. Just really quick, we want to look at the velocity there. Earlier on, seeing some signs of rotation there north of Hazel Grove, but that is showing some signs of weakening as well here. So again, as we take a look here at the broader picture with this second line of storms, that's where the tornadic risk is going to be a little lower, but you could still have some embedded spin-ups, but the wind risk is going to be higher here. Still though, I do want to zoom in further off to the east for portions of Ransom County. It looks like this is now considered a confirmed and observed tornado warning, including again the Lisbon and the Tuller area here. Just looking to the National Weather Service to see if we could get any updates on that. I'm not seeing anything in particular from our chat with the National Weather Service, but again, let's zoom in a little closer. And again, like all of these storms here further off to the east across eastern parts of North Dakota, approaching the Red River Valley, they're really congealing together. You've lost that daytime daylight, and so what you're seeing is that a lot of heavy rain is preceding any potential rotation, and so you're really not going to be able to see anything with these storms. So again, we are seeing some signs of rotation off to the northwest of the Fort Ransom area, between Fort Ransom and the Northland area. Just looking to the National Weather Service, they are considering this a PDS, so again, a particularly dangerous situation. They are saying that they was a confirmed tornado near the Fort Ransom area, so let's give this a little bit of extra attention. So again, Fort Ransom, please do take cover right now, also in the Northland and Preston areas. Let's see if we can get any roads that are nearby. So this is off to, again, the east of State Highway 1. And let's see if I can just get some towns here, some roads. Not much here to go off of. But again, zooming in a little closer here, it's that rotation just off to the northwest of the Fort Ransom area. So Northland, Fort Ransom, do take cover right now, continuing to see this rotation continue off to the east at around 25 miles an hour. So in the next couple minutes, that will be crossing over Valley Road here. So if you're in that area, again, get to the basement or the most interior room on the ground floor at this time, as that rotation has tightened, and we are, the National Weather Service, I should say, is considering that a confirmed tornado on the ground. Putting that storm track out, moving that off to the east here over the next hour. communities in the line of this storm. Fort Ransom, it'll be passing near or just north of you in about 4 minutes or so, closer to the Tulare area by about 10:54. Enderlin about 11:05 p.m. this evening, and then the Shenford area by about 11:20 p.m. this evening. So if you are in the Lisbon area, this is likely going to be staying just north of you, but you are under that warning, so you do want to heed this warning and take cover. No travel should be done right now along State Highway 27 in the Lisbon area or along State Route 32, excuse me, further to the north of the Lisbon area. You're going to be running into extremely heavy rain. The potential for some hail as well. Let's take a look at our VIL, the vertically integrated liquid, looking at the intense returns on radar up along the levels of the atmosphere here, up above the ground, and not seeing terrible indications of large hail here, but there are still is the potential, I should say, for hail up to around an inch, perhaps an inch and a half here between the Northland and Fort Ransom area here. As we take a quick cue on our other hail product, yeah, about an inch size hail possible, in addition to what is considered a confirmed tornado on the ground near the Fort Ransom area. So again, Northland, Fort Ransom, do take cover at this time here. Just want to briefly touch on the storm further off to the north that is no longer considered observed. This is a radar indicated tornado warning continuing until 10:45 p.m. this evening, including the Tower City area for far western portions of Cass County and eastern Barnes County. Again, continuing until 10:45 p.m. this evening. Also for the communities of Buffalo and the Oriska area, also Cuba and Hill and down towards Clifton as well. Looking at the velocity, the winds within the storm here, and we'll back this out over the last 30 minutes or so. And again, this storm has been really cyclic, so the rotation has ramped up. A tornado has touched down. It's been on the ground for a few minutes, and then it weakens, lifts, and the rotation on radar also weakens. So that has been the nature of this thunderstorm. We have seen it cycle numerous times since this bubbled up closer to the Jamestown area a few hours ago. So even though this rotation doesn't look terribly impressive right now, I would still be on your guard in western portions of Cass County and eastern portions of Barnes County, around Cuba, Springvale, excuse me, the Oriska rest stop towards Tower City and out towards the community of Buffalo as well. No travel along I-94 would be a good idea right now in that region as well. But again, the tornado warning of greater concern is the one on the south end right now near the Fort Ransom area. An observed tornado warning continues at this time until 10:45 p.m. and we'll likely see the National Weather Service in Grand Forks extend that warning further off to the east as we take you over the next 10 minutes or so here. Again, just do want to touch on a continued confirmed tornado warning also for portions of Kidder and Stutzman County, also till 10:45 p.m. this evening. I'll take off the lightning, and you can see that this is for a kink inside this line of powerful straight line winds. In fact, it's so powerful that it's kind of maxing out the radar here in terms of our velocity product, showing the winds within the storm. Taking a quick cue here. It's estimating winds upwards of 112 miles an hour aloft, not necessarily at the ground, but we have seen in the Linton area along the southern edge of this powerful line of straight line wind damaging storms that we have seen winds in excess of 100 miles an hour in progress. So this line of storms is not to be played with here. If you're in portions of western and central Stutzman County, even if you are not under that tornado warning, I would prepare to take cover as if it's a tornado warning, as this powerful straight line wind damaging storm with the potential for an embedded rotation, a spin up of a tornado or two, continues off to the east here at a blazing speed. At last check, this cluster of storms, this bow echo of storms, was continuing at about, they've got it moving now at 40 miles per hour here, so a little bit slower. Earlier on, it was moving at nearly 70 miles an hour, but again, we got two areas of storms that we are continuing to monitor.
Thank you, Robert. Wanted to show you some of the hail from earlier. So again, this was as those storms were initially kicking up. Rochelle Hansen sending this one in. Yeah, some hail damage as well. The hail threat is really waning as we take a broader picture of what's going on across our area. You can see there still are severe thunderstorm warnings in portions of Minnesota. We've got those tornado warnings we've been monitoring all evening. And again, now we are monitoring this line of thunderstorms that has moved through the Bismarck area, brought 101 mile an hour wind gusts to the Linton area area that's just down to the south and now has a tornado warning on it that does include Stutsman County around Jamestown. And again, the potential for the strong to severe potential tornadic activity is mainly going to be concerned around this area here. So that does include the Fargo area. If you're one of those persons who has storm anxiety, we're going to stay on with this as long as there are still observed tornadoes around. We're going to continue to cover this, monitor those tornado warning cells, and monitor the rotation within them. So let's just take a look first at this line of thunderstorms off to the west, already past Medina. That tornado warning continues until 10:45. That does include portions of Kidder and mostly now into the Stutsman County area. That does include Jamestown. And again, this is mostly going to bring an intense gust of wind ahead of the thunderstorm. You're going to get this heavy downpour as well as on the backside some really intense winds. That's where the damaging wind will come on the backside of this entire Boeing echo that is kind of starting to really develop and continues to maintain its strength. It's been moving from Montana earlier in the day and now it's continuing to progress through central parts of North Dakota. A storm tracker on this one, this is moving much faster than those tornado warning storms around the Tower City area. This is moving closer to about 50-55 miles an hour. So on top of you folks in the Moon Lake area, should be closer to Midway by about 10:43. So in just about 10 minutes, 10:45 should be closer to Jamestown as well as in the Ypsilanti area. Should be seeing those again intense winds ahead of the downpour and then the damaging winds on the backside. Here's a look at the tornado warning storm just down to the south around the Northland area, just along Highway 32, just south of Fingal. This again was an observed tornado on the ground. This one moving slower. This one's moving about 25 miles an hour to the east, so it should be closer to Springer in about 5 minutes or so. I'd say head to your safe space here because again, this was an observed tornado on the ground just closer to the Fort Ransom area earlier. I think now you folks in the Fort Ransom area are in the clear from that as we're looking at that little couplet has passed the Fort Ransom area. So again, clear in Fort Ransom, still going to be under the gun around just south of Moore as this continues to progress eastward. Still monitoring the tornado warning near Tower City. Again, that one's losing a little bit of its rotation as we switch over to look at that particular tornado warning cell. That one goes for another about 10 minutes or so, continues for portions of eastern Barnes County and western Cass County. So if you're in western Cass County, still included in this. This does not include Castleton, West Fargo just yet. But again, we're going to continue to monitor this. There is some broad rotation, but we're not seeing as tight of couplets as we were earlier. So that's some good news. Not as much of an indication of a tornadic threat as we get into the later portions of this evening. Still monitoring the severe thunderstorm warning at the moment through portions of Norman and Polk County in Minnesota. This one moving up to the north and to the east. You folks in the Grand Forks area are probably seeing the lightning from this. There's a whole lot of lightning. There was, again, just one particular cell that's been riding along I-94. That was the strongest. Now we're seeing as we've got nights, the low-level jet continues to kind of pump in some intensity, and that's going to bring heavy rain, a lot of lightning, and some potential for some really intense wind gusts on the backside, especially of the secondary line. We'll watch this one to see if it can catch up to the other one, because again, this particular line approaching Carrington, passing through McCluskey, Tappan, this one is moving about 55 miles an hour. These thunderstorms in portions of Cass County, those are only moving about 25 miles an hour. So if these two kind of can merge, we'll see that really threat for tornadoes to really diminish, especially in the next couple of hours here. Still is a potential for that down in the south.